All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to plug in and turn up the volume on a really fascinating idea: hacking your brain with sound. Our job is to figure out what's real science and what's just, well, digital snake oil.
You've probably seen this, right? It's all over the internet. Playlists that promise to boost your focus, help you sleep, or even make you feel love just by listening. But can you really tune your mind like a guitar? Okay, let's actually dig into this. In this is the kind of claim that gets millions of clicks. The idea that a single frequency, a specific number of vibrations per second, can not only change your mood, but literally rewrite your biology. I mean, it sounds amazing. Almost too amazing, right?
So before we can even start to tackle those big claims, we have to get back to basics. We need to understand how the brain actually talks to itself. It's not about magic or love frequencies, not yet anyway. It's actually all about electricity.
Okay, so let's get into the real science here. What is actually happening inside your head when you think, or feel, or sleep? Well, it really all boils down to one thing: brainwaves.
So picture this. Your brain is this incredible command center, right? It's packed with billions of these tiny nerve cells called neurons, and they're just constantly talking to each other, firing off these little electrical signals. I mean, every single thought you have, every memory, it all starts here.
So what happens when a whole bunch of these neurons, we're talking millions, all decide to fire at the same time, in rhythm? Well, they create this collective electrical pulse. It's like a wave. And the craziest part? We can actually measure it from outside your head with a thing called an EEG. And that right there is a brainwave.
Okay, so scientists have broken these waves down into 5 main types, and it's all based on their speed, or what we call frequency, which is measured in hertz. First up, we've got the slowest of the slow, delta waves. Think of these like the deep thumping bass line of your brain. They're what's going on when you are completely out cold, that deep, dreamless sleep where your body's doing all its heavy lifting and repair work.
Okay, let's turn the dial up just a little bit. Next are theta waves. This is that dreamy, creative zone. You know, when you're in that state between awake and asleep, or in a deep meditation, that's theta. It's where you might have that next aha moment.
All right, next up, alpha waves. This is basically your brain's chill mode. It's that feeling you get when you just close your eyes for a second. You're awake, but you're totally relaxed. Your brain's just idling.
Now, this next one, beta, is probably what your brain is doing right this second. Yeah, beta waves are our everyday, get things done brain state. When you're alert, focused, solving a problem, that's beta.
And finally, cranking it all the way up, we have gamma waves. These are the Formula One cars of brainwaves. Super fast. They kick in when you're in a state of flow, peak concentration, learning something new, when your brain is just firing on all cylinders.
Okay, so now that we know the language of the brain, delta, theta, alpha, beta, gamma, what about the tools people are using to try and tune it? Well, the 2 big ones you'll see everywhere online are binaural beats and something called solfeggio frequencies.
And what's so fascinating is how totally different these 2 things are. Binaural beats are basically an auditory illusion. It's a neat trick. You put on headphones and you play one tone in your left ear, say 300 hertz, and a slightly different one in your right, maybe 310 hertz. Your brain can't quite figure it out, so it creates a third, phantom beat, at the difference. In this case, that's 10 hertz, which, hey, that's right in the alpha wave zone we just talked about. But yeah, you need headphones for this to work. Solfeggio frequencies, on the other hand, are way simpler. They're just single tones, like 528 hertz, that are said to have these kind of ancient mystical healing properties. And for these, you don't even need headphones.
Okay, so we've got the brain waves, we've got the tools. Now for the big question, the million-dollar question really. Does any of this stuff actually work? It's time to separate the science from the pseudoscience.
So let's start with binaural beats. The idea behind them is actually based on a real phenomenon called the frequency following response. And because there's some science there, they've been studied a lot more than the solfeggio stuff. So what's the verdict?
Well, honestly, the results are kind of a mess. They're all over the map. On one hand, you have some studies showing they might help with anxiety or improve sleep for athletes. Cool. But then a whole bunch of other studies found, well, nothing conclusive. And then, get this, a 2023 study with 1,000 people found that listening to binaural beats at home actually made them do worse on a cognitive test. So yeah, the jury's definitely still out on this one.
Okay, so what about those solfeggio frequencies?
Remember that huge claim about 528 Hz repairing your DNA? Yeah, there is literally zero scientific evidence for that. None. But wait, it's not a total wash. There was one study that found music at 528 Hz could lower cortisol, which is a major stress hormone, and another found that 432 Hz music could actually lower people's heart rates and boost those relaxing alpha waves. So, bottom line, the wild, magical claims? Not much there. But some small calming effects, the science says? Maybe.
So, it seems like trying to push a frequency into your brain with just sound has, well, a pretty subtle effect, if any. But what if we flipped the whole idea on its head? What if, instead of trying to talk to the brain, we could actually listen in and read its signals directly?
And I know that sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, but it's not. It is happening right now in labs all over the world. It's called a brain-computer interface, or BCI for short. And this, my friends, is where the real brain hacking is happening.
So how does it work? It's actually pretty straightforward, conceptually. A person puts on a cap with a bunch of sensors, kind of like a high-tech swimming cap. Then they just think of doing something, like move the cursor to the left. The computer, which has been trained to recognize that specific brainwave pattern for move left, reads the signal, translates it into a digital command, and boom, it sends it to a machine. Your thought just became a physical action without you moving a single muscle.
And the applications for this are just absolutely mind-blowing and life-changing. We're talking about people who are paralyzed being able to type emails just by thinking, people controlling advanced prosthetic arms and legs, piloting a wheelchair with their mind. I mean, this is a direct, measurable connection between pure thought and the physical world.
And this isn't some fluke that works one time in a lab. In the early trials, people who had full physical ability were able to control devices with 70 to 80% accuracy, like right away. The tech is real, it works, and it's getting better and better incredibly fast.
And that just leaves us with this one kind of huge philosophical question, doesn't it? You know, listening to a sound might make you feel a little more relaxed, sure. But being able to directly translate a thought into a robotic action, that completely blurs the line between mind and machine. It makes you wonder if our minds are really as locked inside our skulls as we always thought they were. And that idea, way more than any special frequency, is a truly mind-altering thought.